Greetings to all my lovely viewers. You may call me Tog. There has been all sorts of misinformation being thrown out into the ether by both the fat acceptance movement and those who oppose them. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get the skinny on the BMI, otherwise known as the Body Mass Index. BMI is your weight in kilograms over your height squared in centimeters. Underweight is a BMI below 18.5, normal is 18.5 and 24.9 between those two. Overweight is 25 to 29.9, and anything over a BMI of 30 is obese. Those numbers are fairly accurate for about 90% of the population. That makes the BMI a pretty useful screening tool, or at least a good starting point. One of the reasons I've been reluctant to weigh in on this issue is I happen to be one of those mythical unicorns that the fat acceptance movement is always droning on about. I have to be one of those lucky 10% that my BMI does not accurately measure my body fat percentage. Let me show you a not so flattering picture. I was concerned because I exercise on almost a daily basis, try and eat healthy, so I went to the doctor and got a full physical because my BMI seemed to be crazy high. They took a lot of measurements, used several devices, calculate my body fat. I even got to be on one of those little treadmill things, and while they had stuff strapped up to me. And they said my health was higher than the average person. If I was trying to lose weight, they said maybe 25 to 30 pounds at the most. And as you can see by the photo, that looks about accurate. And he put my ideal weight at a whopping 170 to 175 pounds. I know that sounds scary heavy, but this photo you see and me right now, I weigh 200 pounds. I'm currently trying to get up down to 175 because that's my ideal, and who am I to argue with the doctor? And no, I'm not very tall. I'm 5'4". I actually just have a very large bone structure, and I'm very muscular compared to most girls. Run on average at about 20 miles a week. Done a few half marathons. Hey, it may not be a full marathon, but I'm still proud. 13.1 miles, only half is crazy. And I was actually warned not to go under 150 pounds because that would put me as underweight for my particular body. Because just look at those gams. I can bend and press steel with my thighs. Anyways, enough about me. Let's talk about fat. As I said, BMI is just the starting point. There are two types of fat I'm going to talk about today. One is subcutaneous fat, and the other is visceral fat. Most of us ladies will gain mostly subcutaneous fat. It forms directly under our skin. It acts as a squishy fat coat on our otherwise thin frames. Now, this is very important for the gentlemen to hear and hopefully internalize. Visceral fat is the more dangerous of the two types of fat, and gentlemen tend to gain this type of fat. Visceral fat lurks deep inside your body, wrapping around your inner organs, drives up your risk for diabetes, heart disease, stroke, and even dementia. Having fat wrapped around your organs can also prove troublesome for surgeons. Even a small beer belly is a sign that your insides are already packed. The good news about visceral fat is that it is some of the easiest fat to lose. Neck, back, arm, and hip fat might be unsightly, but it's not overly dangerous. Belly fat, however, is another story. As stated before, visceral fat is the most dangerous type of fat, but an excess amount of belly fats isn't good even if it's all subcutaneous. A good way to check your health in regards to your weight is to measure yourself. Gentlemen, try and keep your waists under 40 inches. Ladies, let's keep it under 35 inches. Now that I gave the gentlemen their warning, apple-shaped girls, you're next. Of all the womanly shapes, you are the one that needs to watch your weight the most. An apple-shaped girl holds her weight all in her upper body, back, boobs, belly, but not much of the legs. Unfortunately, with this kind of weight distribution, almost any weight gain is a bad thing. Now for the pear-shaped girls. I hate the term pear-shaped girls myself because there's two distinct body types that this term encompasses. We have the sexy pear, who has narrow shoulders, wide hips. This is the body type that can even have a thigh gap without being underweight. Then we have the squishy pear. These are the ladies that gain most of their fat in their legs. In fact, almost all of their fat in their legs. Ever been called pear-shaped and you wonder which kind of pear you are? Go ahead and give your thigh a good slap. If your hand sinks in and it's still jiggling, you, my friend, are a squishy pear. Now, my advice to you is focus on physical activity as much as possible. Squishy pears are at an increased risk of blood clots and lymphedema. Now I have a message for all you skinny minis out there who eat nothing but rubbish, but aren't fat due to portion control. Poor diets and lack of exercise will catch up with you regardless of your weight. There is no health at every size, but there is definitely unhealthy at any size. So everybody, watch your salt and sugar intake. Try and get your 5 a day. And speaking of fruit and veg, the more colors you can work in, the better. Switch from processed carbs like white bread and cake to complex carbs like whole grain and brown rice. They have a slow release energy that keeps your blood sugar from spiking. Cut out trans fat, cut down on saturated fat, and try and work in some monounsaturated fats like the ones found in avocados and nuts. Keep your proteins lean. Fish and lentils are both a great source of protein. And just overall watch your portion size. On a closing note, there is definitely a time for tough love and a time for support. If your jumbo-sized friend whines about their weight but sits on the couch all day and eats constantly, that seems like the appropriate time to give them a little tough love. But if your larger than average friend, maybe even jumbo size, exercises, tries to eat healthy, losing weight but their weight loss is slower than they hoped, that's not really a good time to get tough. I think you would probably just discourage them. Everybody, let's not be assholes to fat people, and I hope all of you have a pleasant rest of your day.